This is Nikola Tesla. And yes, every single story I'm about to tell you actually happened. Today we're talking about a man who could have lit up the entire world wirelessly, predicted smartphones in 1901, and claimed he could build a death ray that would end all wars. But this same brilliant mind also fell madly in love with a pigeon, refused to eat dinner unless he mathematically calculated the cubic volume of his soup, and was so terrified of pearls that he'd literally flee from women wearing them. These stories prove that sometimes the line between genius and madness is, well, there isn't one.
The greatest love story never told.
Let's start with Tesla's love life, because it's not what you think. Tesla was a lifelong bachelor who famously declared that intimacy would interfere with his scientific work. He once said,
I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men.
So naturally, you'd expect him to live a solitary, romance-free life focused entirely on science. Instead, he fell head over heels in love with a pigeon. Not metaphorically, not as a joke. He literally, genuinely, deeply loved a specific white pigeon that visited his New York hotel room. When Tesla lived in New York, he spent hours each week in the parks, feeding pigeons. He'd bring injured ones back to his hotel suite to nurse them back to health. He even convinced hotel chefs to prepare special seed mixtures for his feathered friends. But one white pigeon was special. Tesla's own words about this bird:
I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life.
This is the man who harnessed electricity, and he's talking about a pigeon like she's the love of his life. The most touching and bizarre part came in 1922. Tesla claimed that his beloved white pigeon flew into his room one night specifically to tell him she was dying. Before she passed away, he said a brilliant white light shone from her eyes, brighter than anything he had ever created with his electrical machinery. Tesla was heartbroken. He told friends that at the moment she died, he felt his life's work was finished. The irony? The same man was a severe germaphobe who was terrified of physical contact with humans, but he let pigeons fly freely through his living space, creating what witnesses described as a horrible mess.
The mathematical dinner theater.
Speaking of Tesla's germophobia, let's talk about his dining rituals, because they were absolutely unhinged. Every evening, Tesla would arrive at his regular table at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York. He was an elegant figure, tall, well-dressed, commanding attention wherever he went. But his table setup was unique. Exactly 18 clean linen napkins would be stacked for him on his table. Not 17, not 19, exactly 18, because it's divisible by 3. Tesla would then begin what can only be described as the world's most obsessive table cleaning ritual. He'd use napkin after napkin to polish every piece of silverware, every plate, every glass, discarding each square of linen after one use. But here's where it gets really weird. Before Tesla could take a single bite of food, he had to perform mathematical calculations on everything on his plate. Every single item had to be mathematically measured before he could enjoy his meal. Tesla wrote in his autobiography,
I counted the steps in my walks and calculated the cubical contents of soup plates, coffee cups, and pieces of food. Otherwise, my meal was unenjoyable.
Other diners tried not to stare.
The number 3 obsession.
Tesla's mathematical compulsions weren't limited to food. He was completely obsessed with the number 3 and anything divisible by 3. He would only stay in hotel rooms with door numbers divisible by 3. When approaching any building, he had to walk around it exactly 3 times before entering. He washed his hands in sets of 3 repetitions. This obsession extended to everything around him. Tesla compulsively calculated the cubic contents of houses, ships, clouds, mountains. Basically, anything that caught his eye had to be mentally measured and computed. One witness described watching Tesla stop mid-conversation to stare at a building and perform calculations in his head before he could continue talking.
The Great Pearl Terror.
Now here's perhaps the most baffling phobia in scientific history. Tesla was absolutely terrified of pearls. Not just dislike, genuine visceral fear. He would refuse to speak to women wearing pearl jewelry. If someone wearing pearls entered a room, Tesla would abruptly end conversations and leave. This is the same man who regularly worked with deadly electrical currents that could have killed him instantly. He experimented with X-rays before anyone understood their dangers. He built massive Tesla coils that generated millions of volts. But pearls? Absolutely not. No one ever figured out why. Some theories suggest it was their smooth, round texture. Others think it was related to his obsessive-compulsive tendencies. Tesla himself never explained it.
The day Tesla called Martians.
In 1899, while working at his laboratory in Colorado Springs, Tesla made what he believed was the most important discovery of his life. Using his sensitive radio equipment, he picked up strange, rhythmic signals from space. Tesla became absolutely convinced he had made contact with intelligent extraterrestrial life, specifically beings on Mars. He was, by his own admission, terrified by what he believed were alien communications. Tesla spent years afterward trying to develop better equipment to communicate with Mars. He genuinely believed he was on the verge of establishing interplanetary dialogue. The reality? Modern scientists believe Tesla was likely picking up natural radio emissions from Jupiter. But Tesla went to his grave, convinced he had been the first human to make contact with aliens.
The man who predicted everything.
Here's the thing that makes Tesla's weirdness even more incredible. Despite all his bizarre obsessions, he was predicting the future with stunning accuracy. In 1901, Tesla described a world where people would carry pocket-sized devices for instant global communication. He predicted wireless internet, transmission of photographs and documents, and flying machines for everyday transportation. He was literally describing smartphones, Wi-Fi, and air travel over a century before they existed. So while Tesla was calculating soup volumes and talking to pigeons, he was simultaneously envisioning our exact modern world.
The death ray that never was.
In his later years, Tesla claimed to have invented the ultimate weapon, a death ray he called Teleforce. According to Tesla, this device could destroy aircraft at 200 miles distance and would make warfare impossible, thus ending all conflicts forever. He tried to sell the plans to the US government, claiming it could protect America from any invasion. The reality? It was essentially a highly focused electrical beam weapon. Tesla drew up elaborate plans and made grand claims, but never actually built a working version. After Tesla's death, government agents reportedly seized his papers, and the death ray plans mysteriously disappeared, fueling decades of conspiracy theories.
The genius and the madness.
So there you have it. Nikola Tesla, the man who invented the modern world while living in one of the strangest minds in human history. He gave us AC electricity, wireless technology, and X-rays. He predicted our digital age with uncanny accuracy. But he also fell in love with a pigeon, was afraid of jewelry, and couldn't eat soup without doing math homework. Tesla's story reminds us that brilliance comes in many forms, and sometimes the most revolutionary minds operate according to rules the rest of us will never understand. Which Tesla story shocked you most? The pigeon romance or the soup calculations? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Hidden History Dork, where genius meets absolutely bizarre.